All right, so you're thinking about heading down under, huh? Maybe snagging that Australian subclass 485 visa after you graduate. Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because things are changing. And today, we're going deep, really deep into those changes.
Yeah, this isn't just some quick skim of the headlines. We're talking full-on deep dive here. We're going to unpack exactly what these changes to the 485 visa mean, what they mean for you, and what they signal about the future of work in Australia.
So if you're all about living and working in Australia post-graduation, this one's for you. And let me tell you, the changes are big, folks, not just little tweaks. We're talking potential shakeups.
Absolutely. We've got official sources here, some whispers from the field, and a whole lot of analysis to sift through. It's going to be a wild ride.
First off, let's talk names. The graduate work stream is now the post-vocational education work stream, and that post-study work stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now called the post-higher education work stream. So what's the deal with the fancy new titles? I think it's more than just a rebranding exercise.
Oh, for sure. I think it goes way beyond just slapping on a new label. Australia is making a statement here. They're laser focused on the type of education you've got.
Okay, so break it down for me. What exactly do they mean by vocational versus higher education in this Aussie context?
Good question. So vocational is your trade schools, apprenticeships, diplomas, really geared towards a specific skill or trade. Think, plumbing, carpentry, that kind of thing. Higher education, on the other hand, that's your classic university route, bachelor's degrees, master's, and so on. More academic, less hands-on trade focused.
Gotcha. So they're really drawing a line in the sand there. So how does all this new emphasis on education play out with something like a graduate diploma? Those aren't quite as straightforward as they used to be, huh?
You hit the nail on the head. The rules now state that if you're going the graduate diploma route, it has to be really closely linked to that previous degree of yours. And not only that, you've got to start it within a certain time frame.
So no more like tacking on a random diploma just to hang around Australia longer?
Seems that way. They're clamping down on that loophole. It's all about a cohesive, specialized educational journey now. Like if you have a bachelor's in engineering, you can't just tack on any random graduate diploma. It's got to be something that builds directly on that engineering foundation.
Makes sense. Show that you're serious about your field and all that. Okay, so if they're getting stricter with graduate diplomas, where do graduate certificates stand in all of this?
This is a big one. They're out. Gone. Graduate certificates are no longer accepted for the 485 visa. Full stop.
Whoa, that's a pretty big change. Why do you think they made that move?
Well, it definitely raises the bar for entry, doesn't it? I think on one hand, it's Australia saying, hey, we want graduates with more in-depth qualifications. But I think it also hints at something deeper, a strategic move to address specific skill gaps in the Australian workforce.
Interesting. So like they're prioritizing certain fields over others.
Possibly. Think of it this way. Australia wants to attract graduates who are truly invested in their field and have a solid educational foundation. They're looking for people who are likely to stick around and contribute long-term.
Makes you really think about what Australia is trying to build, huh? Okay, so we've got the name changes, the tighter restrictions on diplomas, and the big farewell to graduate certificates. What else is shaking things up?
Well, there's this big emphasis now on the connection between your chosen occupation and, you guessed it, your degree. You can't just pick any job from the skilled occupations list anymore. It's got to be a tight fit.
Right, it's all about relevance now.
Yep, your degree needs to be directly relevant to the specific occupation you're nominating. For instance, if you're eyeing a software engineering role, your degree better be in a relevant field like computer science or software development. No more getting a degree in, say, marketing and trying to pivot to software engineering using the 485 visa.
It's like Australia saying, we appreciate your ambition, but show us the credentials. So it sounds like they're really trying to ensure that graduates have the skills and knowledge to hit the ground running, not just hang out for a bit and see what happens.
Exactly. I think it speaks to a broader shift in how Australia is approaching skilled migration.
Yeah.
It's less about just filling any open position and more about attracting talent that aligns with long-term workforce needs.
Smart move. And you know what? This whole tighter connection thing kind of reminds me of something we haven't talked about yet. The age restriction. Any updates on that front?
Ah, yes. The age restriction. It's still a bit of a mystery wrapped in an enigma, But the rumors are swirling, and they're suggesting a potential reduction in the maximum age for the 485 visa.
Ooh, juicy gossip. But seriously, what could that mean for potential applicants?
Well, we don't have concrete details yet. But if they do lower the age limit, it could mean Australia's putting a premium on younger professionals. The thinking might be that younger folks have longer career trajectories ahead of them, more time to contribute to the Australian economy.
Makes sense from a long-term perspective. But yeah, definitely a curveball for anyone hoping to use a 485 a little later in their career.
Hmm.
So taking a step back, what's the big picture here? What's the key takeaway for someone listening who's got their sights set on Australia?
I think the big takeaway is this. Australia is getting serious about attracting graduates with very specific skills and qualifications. The 485 visa isn't just a way to extend your stay after graduation anymore. It's a strategic tool for building a future in Australia.
It's a whole new ballgame. It used to be, hey, come on down, get some experience. Now it's more like, come on down, BUT, be ready to contribute in a targeted way.
Spot on. These changes are a clear message. Australia is looking for graduates who are in it for the long haul, who have the right skills to fill specific gaps in the workforce, and who are ready to make a real impact.
So do these changes make the 485 visa more or less attractive? Honestly, it's a tough call. It really depends on your own situation, your field, and your long-term goals.
Couldn't agree more. What's right for one person might not be right for another. But no matter what, the key is to stay informed. Keep researching. Talk to a registered migration agent for personalized advice. Don't just rely on what you hear on the street. Get the facts.
Information is power, folks. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today. Name changes, stricter requirements, that potential age restriction bombshell. But here's something to chew on, something we haven't really touched on yet. What do these changes tell us about Australia's role in the global competition for talent?
Ooh, good one. Think about it. Are other countries making similar moves? Are they tightening restrictions? Or are they opening doors wider? How does Australia's strategy stack up? These are the big questions we need to be asking.
It's a global talent race out there, and understanding these trends can give you a real edge. All right, folks, that's a wrap for our deep dive into the Australian subclass 485 visa. Big thanks for joining us today. Keep those brains buzzing, keep asking the tough questions, and most importantly, keep exploring.
And remember, stay curious. The world is full of opportunities for those willing to seek them out.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.